Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. It's kind of a nice Friday. It's not bad at all out there. Temperature, I want to say mid-50s, and I don't know that for sure, but I do now. 57 degrees. Wow. Not bad at all. We got a good show for you today, including some late-breaking news. Let me say hello very quickly to Billy Derrick, who is alongside for the ride home. Billy, how are you?
I'm good. We got a new GM.
It does sound that way. Let's check in with Terry McCormick, Main Street Media, TitanInsider.com. Terry, my suspicion is that this hire is going to meet with some early approval.
Yeah, I think so. Anytime you go and get somebody from one of the top organizations in the league to help run your organization, that should be met with a thumbs up. Mike Borgonzi, assistant general manager of the Kansas City Chiefs, is the Titans' choice to be their new GM. From what I've been told, a contract still has to be finalized in order to make everything, dot all the I's, cross all the T's, and make it official. I'm told that Tuesday may be the target date for a press conference to introduce him, with Monday, of course, being the Martin Luther King holiday.
So, Terry, first of all, I would think he gets all the benefit of the doubt going in, because last time I checked, the Chiefs are pretty doggone good. 2 Super Bowls, going after the third. And from a personal standpoint, my buddy Pat Sperduto has said great things about him.
Yeah, I mean, Borgonzi is a guy that checks a lot of the boxes, so to speak, of what you would probably want. He's a guy who's come up through the ranks, been with the Chiefs since 2009, cut his teeth in the scouting department, both, worked his way up, getting promotion after promotion. Now he's the assistant general manager. And I know that a lot of people would say, well, it's easy to win with the Chiefs because they have Patrick Mahomes, and that is certainly true. And we saw, what trying to replicate the Joe Burrow offense here with the Titans without Joe Burrow look like. But when you're talking about personnel and you're talking about, drafting people, the Chiefs have done a really, really good job of finding people not only like Mahomes, but certainly finding guys like Chris Jones, L'Jarius Sneed, who's now a Titan, Tyreek Hill, over the years, just many, many solid players, that they've used to help build up both the offense and the defense of that roster, including drafting Trey Smith out of the University of Tennessee in the 6th round, and him becoming a starter for them. So the Chiefs have a history of hitting on draft picks up and down the rounds. And so I think that if you're a Titans fan, with all the misses that they've had over the last few years, that should certainly be encouraging.
Terry, once he gets in and figures out where his office is, in your mind, what is the first piece of business? Is it deciding the quarterback route? Is it deciding what to do with the first pick? What do you think it is?
Well, I think some of it will be, getting to know the staff and getting to see if there needs to be added any people, onto the staff, people that he trusts, in the scouting department, this, that, and the other. Those things, those are probably those decisions might not be made right away because you're already into the process of assessing the draft. But I think he first has to assess the roster that's before him. What's here, what can be used, what needs to be gotten rid of, what has potential, those sorts of things, and then start assessing, okay, what's the best route to go with the number 1 pick. Obviously, you're going to evaluate all the quarterbacks in this draft, especially those at the top portion, being Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, to see if one of those might be worthy of your pick at number 1. You're going to also kind of look at your trade out options to see if it might be better for you to get rid of the pick and pick up multiple choices both this year and next year. So he's got a lot of things on his plate to kind of get used to. He's going to have to come in here and hit the ground running.
Okay, let me throw this one at you and see what you think. The buzzword these days in sports is culture. And I happen to think the Titans' culture is awful. I think there's become sort of a how are we going to find a way to lose? I think internally there's all kinds of turmoil that's been going on. I called it Backstab Central a week and a half ago. What do you think this guy can do as he comes in? Because he's leaving a place that culture appears to be just incredibly good under Andy Reid. What do you think he can do here early to help that?
Well, I think, you try to, squelch as much of that as you can. Obviously, his job is on the personnel side. So you got to kind of get that part of it squared away first, make sure that, you're, getting everybody on the same page in the front office as you approach this off season with the draft and free agency. And then the next thing is you got to put enough pieces in place to get rid of that losing culture that, as you described it, in the locker room, that mentality of, oh, well, here we go again, or how are we going to lose this one? That only comes by winning and by seeing yourself improve and do the things necessary to be able to, get enough people in the right spots to win games.
Terry, I appreciate on really short notice your willingness to come on, your availability. Thank you as always. Have a good weekend. And, of course, go Yankees.
Yes, go Yankees. Absolutely.
Talk to you.
See ya.
Terry McCormick, Main Street Media, TitanInsider.com. Again, repeating the news, Mike Borganzi, assistant general manager of the Kansas City Chiefs, is now taking over whatever the role is. And I'll admit I don't totally get it.
What would you say you do?
Well, yeah, look, here's the one encouraging thing, Billy. On the surface, the way they have divided this up doesn't make any sense at all to me. But these people interviewing aren't stupid. And if it's that bad, they'd pull out. And for somebody from Kansas City who could stay in Kansas City for a while and who knows, win another world title or two, he decided it was worth coming. So
yeah, I mean,
I'm going to take at face value that he must be comfortable with the arrangement.
I think it's a good hire. I mean, it's easy to say that right now. It hasn't done anything, and the Titans didn't have a GM, so now they do. But nearly 2 decades with the Chiefs. And, and like Terry said, cut his teeth, started at low-level scouting assistant, and now he's the assistant GM, and now he's got a head GM job.
And let's hope he can really help, because when you really start to boil it down to the low gravy, the reason the Titans suck, the biggest reason, is because over about a 5-year period from rounds 3 through 7, their drafting has been horrendous. They have gotten virtually nothing done. And you look at a team like the Rams, who has mopped up in the last 2 years, rounds 3 through 7, and that's very telling.
Let's hope he's able to do what he wants to do. That's what I would say.
Let's hope so.
Let's get to the update. It's brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. You can find her online at mortgageladiusa.com or give her a call, 615-969-4350. George, I told you the Preds might get hot here. Beat the Blackhawks last night 3-2 in a shootout. Stamkos sealed it.
It was a weird game. They got nothing done from about the start of the second period until about 5 minutes left in the third period, and then they really went on the attack. Philip Forsberg ties the game. The overtime all kinds of chances for both teams. Overtimes, the 3-on-3 version is really cool.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
That's when it gets fun.
It's some of the most entertaining hockey you'll find, but they end up winning it in a shootout, which is ironic because this year in these settings of extra time, they've been god-awful.
How was the crowd? A lot of Blackhawks?
A lot of Blackhawks, but a pretty darn full crowd. Listen.
This is the time of year where they start to load up with the crowds.
I am very impressed by the fact that the Predator fan base, knowing what they know right now and knowing that they have virtually no shot at getting in the playoffs, is continuing to show up in numbers that I'm not sure I thought they would.
And how about this for a stat of the day? This is not our stat of the day today, but Roman Josi skated a total distance of 4.8 miles last night in the Preds win. It marked the most in a single game by any skater this season. So he was all over the place.
Yeah,
I didn't know they tracked that, but almost 5 miles skated last night for Roman Josi.
For the record, they are 12 points out of the 8th and final playoff spot. For me personally, last night was really cool. I got a chance to see two guys that I covered pretty closely, Shea Weber and Pekka. And it was good to get to talk to both of them. And Shea Weber, when I said to him, your Blue Jays are hurting and my Braves are doing great, he said, yeah. He goes, that's because you stole our general manager. And I forgot to remind Shea, who I don't think is watching this or listening to it, but Shea, you got rid of Alex Anthopoulos. I can't help you there.
Yeah, thanks for Alex. They'll be back home tomorrow against the Wild, 7 o'clock puck drop in that one. Wild are really good. They're 27-14.
Craig Leopold's Minnesota Wild.
College football, obviously national title on Monday night, Notre Dame and Ohio State. Not a cheap ticket. Ticket resale sites are reporting that prices start at about $1,800 and average as much as $2,500 for the title game. StubHub spokesperson Joseph Bocanegra said that the average ticket price is $2,500. Last year, the average was $1,800 for Michigan and Washington. And Vivid Seats is reporting that this game is the hottest college football ticket for them since 2009.
Which I'm guessing is really the two fan bases. Notre Dame is as national a fan base as it gets, and so they're going to bring a lot of people. In Ohio State, it appears that every citizen of that state is a Buckeye fan.
Yeah, well, the
Man,
state
do they travel.
That's leading the charge is Ohio. So there'll probably be slightly more Ohio State fans, but I did see where they're expecting somewhat of a neutral crowd on Monday night. So it's gonna be fun. Is that supposed to start at 7, so which means probably 7:30?
No, it's more 6:30 with probably a 6:45 kickoff,
well,
if I was guessing.
Also, college basketball, Dick Vitale is returning to the air for the first time since 2023. He will call the Duke-Wake Forest game next Saturday in Winston-Salem. Of course, he's been battling 4 different types of cancer in the past 3 years. He announced a couple weeks ago that he was cancer-free.
That is me clapping. I am thrilled. That's some of the best news we will get all day.
Some good news for Vanderbilt. Now, this might be Tennessee and Kentucky fans taking over, but they did announce that the next 2 Saturday games against Tennessee and Kentucky are both sold out. Of course, tomorrow tips off at 2:30. Next Saturday, the 25th, that'll tip off at 1:30 on ESPN. So student tickets are still available, as are tickets on the secondary market, but sold out for the next couple of weekends.
Tennessee opens as a 7.5-point favorite.
Not surprised by that.
No.
Tennessee is still really good, but should be fun. I know we'll get into that with Griff Heavy here in just about 5 minutes or so. Also, we talked about the Titans, but some other NFL news ahead of divisional round this weekend. The Ravens have listed Zay Flowers as doubtful against the Bills. They did not rule him out, though.
Oh, I think he's going to play. I think unless you see a bone sticking out, and I know it's a shaky one because he missed a week ago, but unless there's a bone sticking out, I got a feeling he's playing.
Harbaugh said, I think he'll have a chance. He hasn't practiced since he hurt his right knee in their finale against the Browns. So you'd imagine he's been getting some work in, but that's a guy they need ahead of divisional round weekend, which starts tomorrow. But
okay.
That's what I got.
So Mark Griffin's going to join us after the break. He, of course, former University of Tennessee basketball star. We're going to get into the game tomorrow and what Mark thinks about it. And, it'd be interesting to hear because he certainly seen Tennessee a bunch of times this year. I'm probably going to call for phone calls for Mark. If I had to guess, around 3:45, college basketball questions for him. Then probably around, 4:15 or so, depending on how the calls go, we'll let Mark out. And then we'll just kind of open the phones until around 4:40 to get to a variety of things. We're going to want a lot of your interaction today. So as we go to our first break, welcome to Mike. Help me, Borgonzi, the new general manager, it appears, of the Tennessee Titans, formerly the assistant GM of the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll go to the break and tell you this is 94.9 The Fan.
New year, new priorities. Family and safety come first. If a car or truck accident disrupts your life, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, experienced, and ready to fight for you. Call 615-242-9000. Happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com. Integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
This is Kevin Ingram. Coming up Saturday, the old rivals meet again as Vanderbilt hosts Tennessee. Tip-off at 2:30. Join Tim Thompson and me for the call with coverage starting at 2.
Your sports live here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We are back. Looks like the rain comes in here tonight. So if you're headed out to a high school basketball game, you might want to take an umbrella. Now, let's say hello to our buddy, former University of Tennessee star Mark Griffin, who was in attendance last night at the Preds game. Way to bring him home.
Well, thanks to you, George. I wouldn't have been in attendance if it wasn't for you and all the teaching you did last night to educate someone like myself on their lack of knowledge of how the game goes, especially when it goes to overtime. So it was a tremendous experience.
Yeah, the overtime, the 3-on-3 is really cool, and it's got some basketball principles to it because in that 3-on-3, what you're looking for is a screen that gives you enough room to fire.
Oh yeah, and then we talked about this last night, but how in NFL when receivers run off each other, these so-called illegal picks, that is also utilized in the hockey world.
Okay, so the Preds have won 2 in a row, and you got a day tomorrow in our city where you've got a big college basketball game, Tennessee and Vandy at 2:30, and then the Preds and the Minnesota Wild tomorrow night at 7. Mark, let's zero in on the Tennessee-Vandy game. And obviously, Tennessee is the better team. They're very highly nationally ranked. There's a lot good about Tennessee, but there's also a little bit of attrition there. Talk to me about who they don't have and what does it really mean?
Well, your first question about what they don't have is what I've not witnessed consistently is someone who can step up when Chaz Lanier is not on and knock down consistent shots. You're getting some. Gainey played well against Georgia overall, but you're not just seeing consistent night in, night out. You're not going to see Chaz Lanier shoot 2 of 16 many nights. He did so against Georgia. Tennessee was very fortunate. Georgia come out with the win at home. Tale of 2 halves, played horribly in the first half, played tremendous in the second half, and pulled off that win with the really big help from Zakai Ziegler, who I thought played his best overall game of the season. But if you're not going to – they're going to have someone who's going to be consistent. Meshack, I've seen regress as far as his outside shooting and even look like his confidence in shooting has gone backwards a little bit. Like I said, Gainey's picked it up, but I think you're still going to have some people that are going to step up. Who would that be? Once again, Ziegler had 16 points. He's shooting less than 40% from the field as a whole, which is his career low. But he's a little mighty might. He was the difference maker. They're going to have that. And Vanderbilt in their scouting report, they're going to deny Lanier wherever he goes. I mentioned this last week on your show. Anytime he comes through the lane, little bump and bruise by the big guy like Devin McLaughlin for Vanderbilt to kind of say, hey, you're not coming in my lane. Then you're starting to think a little bit. And if Vanderbilt can make Lanier think, they've got a shot.
So is Tennessee being forced to ask too much of Chaz Lanier?
I don't think so at all. He took 16 shots. I mean, it's not like he's shooting 20 plus. And what I liked about the way he carried himself during the game, George, was his body language was great. I mean, you'd think he hit every shot when he ran down the court. A lot of guys lower their head, they pout. During timeouts, they're pouting. He kept a really cool head, And I'm sure Coach Barnes and staff told him, look, you're going to keep shooting the ball. Shooters shoot. We hear that. But does it affect one when you're not knocking down shots? It does. It really gets into your head like, oh, my God, I haven't scored. And, you want to make sure that you're just keep getting to the basket. Even if you're not knocking down shots, get to the free throw line. Just get something that's going to get you that stroke so that you have the confidence moving forward. And once again, you can bet that Vanderbilt's going to do all they do to take the ball out of his hands.
So on Vandy's side, you got a new coach who people really like in Mark Byington. He basically scrapped the junk that they had a year ago for a team, and within 6 weeks was able to put pretty much a totally new lineup out there.
Amazing.
And so you have this stat of most important transfer, and that's Jason Edwards, formerly of a really tough North Texas program. Talk to me about what you see with him.
Well, I've watched him play several times now, George, and obviously he's coming off an injury recently, and he's the trigger for Vanderbilt to be successful. He's kind of like the Chaz Lanier of Vanderbilt, but what a fantastic player. He's 6'1", a junior. You see his average as far as 19-1. That was while he was at North Texas. He's averaging 17 points a game right now. One of the things that really stood out to me when I looked him up, he's shooting 85% from the free throw line. And when you've got a guard, George, that can shoot 85%, you're going to want the ball in his hands when it's coming down to the end of the game. And that's a scary situation for opponents, but a great situation for Vanderbilt, especially at home. If they can keep this game close and they've got the ball in Edwards' hands, that's going to have a lot of Big Orange fans nervous, including myself. One little bit more background on Mr. Edwards. First team all-conference from the American Athletic Conference last year. Great pickup for Coach Byington. Not a name that everyone knew about last year, but that's the great thing about these transfers is you get guys that you want to fit into what you're wanting to run. He has an opportunity to come into the SEC, make a difference. And so far this season, George has done a fantastic job.
Mark, in recent games, Vandy has had trouble with the long ball. They haven't hit the threes. And I guess I'm going to ask it this way. Is it as simple as fill in the blank? Vandy has to hit X number of threes to have a chance to beat Tennessee.
Wow. You're talking about raining earlier. Will they be raining threes tomorrow afternoon? The number that comes to my head, George, is 8. That's a pretty good bit of 3-pointers, by the way, because when you've got guys knocking down 3-point shots, you're spreading out the inside. You're creating space. If Vanderbilt can create space and make Tennessee defend on the perimeter, it's going to open up the middle for their big guys. With Memorial Magic, we come back to that. It's a great advantage compared to what they've had in the past. And if they can knock down, I'm going to say 8. It's going to be a long day. Tennessee's going to have to defend. And you're right. They haven't been a great 3-point shooting team. But if they can get hot one game, one player, anything can happen.
For the record, Mark Griffin and I first met in the summer of 1987. And after taking a cheap shot at him about his orange tennis shoes, he was working CM Newton basketball camp. And I was like, what the hell? Why is he here? Well, once we got past all that kind of fun, I led on to Mark that I was about to become the new play-by-play announcer at Memphis State. Mark is from Union City, Tennessee. And the day of the press conference to announce my hire, Mark Griffin took me out and about around Memphis and showed me the city. So we go back a long ways. Now, the reason I bring this up is back then, before you had the Preds and the Titans and Nashville as we see it today, the Tennessee Vanderbilt game at Memorial Gym was the sporting event of the season. It simply was. Mark, you played in it several times in that gym. For people who maybe are new to here and are like, what's the big deal? Maybe it isn't a big deal now, but boy, back then it was.
Yeah, and people love to talk about the seating arrangement for the benches. And I really think it's overemphasized. It's unique. People talk about the depth of the baskets being, the background fans being so far away. Not a big deal. But what was deeper is the hatred between Vanderbilt and Tennessee. Basketball goes back a long time, George. Rival teams, it'll be that way tomorrow. I remember, George, I don't know the exact number, but Tennessee, I think it was my sophomore year in 1986, or it could have been 87. We had Vanderbilt beat. We're up, I think, 11 with a minute 12 left and found a way to lose the game. It was one of the most disappointing losses I ever had. It's just guys got hot, knocking down threes, probably Barry Booker and Barry Goheen and others. Yeah. And the fans got behind. It was so loud you couldn't hear. I don't think we could get the ball inbounds. And it was just hot, heated, just a great – I think it's one of the best atmospheres in the SEC other than Rupp Arena. A great place to play. I love playing at Memorial. Just loved the floor. I love the environment. I love the layout. You recognize people that are sitting in the stands, because it's a Tennessee rivalry, obviously. So people don't have far to travel from West Tennessee to watch their Vols or the Commodores play. So I think it's going to get back even tougher now with Coach Byington in. You're going to see a more grittier game than you have seen in the past. So I think good things are moving forward for Vanderbilt and hopefully continually for Tennessee, because Tennessee's fared very well in Nashville with a lot of orange. I think in the future, with the support of this fan base here locally in Nashville, you may see fewer orange because people are going to come watch a program that's going to play hard.
Okay, Billy, you want a scouting report here?
Let's hear it.
This is before you. So Mark Griffin had the ability, number 33 in your program, but for some people, number 1 in their hearts. He could shoot the long ball. But Billy, he had the annoying habit when he hit 3, show him what you would do.
Oh, gosh. I'd raise my hands and run down the court. And
they were all over your butt.
Yeah, people hated me, and I loved it. But the backdrop to this, if you have a second.
Sure.
Oscar Schmidt, if you remember Oscar Schmidt from Brazil, was probably 40 years old playing in, I think it was called the World Pan Am Games, and he shot a three-pointer over Rex Chapman. I still remember. And he raised his arms, and we were watching this game live, and we were pissed at Oscar Schmidt. So during practice one day, for fun, I hit a three-pointer during this up and back drill, and I raised my hands. Everybody started laughing. I thought Coach DeVoe was going to run me, but he never said a word. So someone dared me. One of the managers said, "You ought to do it in a game." And of course, someone recently said, "Well, you got to hit a three-pointer first before you can do it." But we're playing USC in Knoxville, and I hit a three-pointer, and I raised my arms and ran down the court. And then I was thinking, wow, this is a confidence builder. It wasn't to show off or have the focus primarily on me, even though it looked like it. I was seeing a sports psychologist, which back then was new, and a lot of athletes in the 80s were seeing sports psychologists to help with the mental edge. And he had taught me, and his name's Dr. Craig Risberg, said, when you receive the ball, visualize you running down the court with your arms in the air. And so when I would catch the ball, the less you think, the better, but I would receive the ball, and I'm already thinking in my head, running down the court with the arms up. So that's where that came from. Now it became my trademark. A lot of people remembered that, which I'm very thankful. People remember anything. But that's where that came from. And I was fortunate to be, one of the top 3-point shooters in the SEC, a couple of years. And then, for Tennessee's record standpoint. But I'm just still surprised Coach DeVoe never hit on me one time. And if you know Coach DeVoe, like many people do, he's a stickler and he doesn't let you do anything, but he never said a word as to don't do that.
So, Billy, as you know, that was a group at Vandy, Will Purdue, Goheen, Booker, Glenn Clem, Steve Reese, guy that I'm still really close with. They hated him for doing that. Oh, my God, they went off about it. What the hell's he doing?
I'll tell you real quick one, George. I was at a Sounds game in Nashville. Oak Ridge boys were there. And I'm like, I'm not a fanboy, but I'm like, wow, it's Oak Ridge boys. And one of the guys like, we freaking hate you. I'm like, okay, sorry. I'm just trying to win.
Just raise my hands a little bit.
That's just one of the people that hated me. But, as a player, it's funny because, you yell at players and people yell a lot of bad things to a lot of people and they pick on certain players. I think it helps those players. I really do. I think like Dane Bradshaw, for example, is a prime example. Go on the road. They had pictures of his sister and they would say everything they could. And he just played well. It motivated him. One example.
I think we've lost a little bit of that. You showboat a little bit. You can respect them, but also have a little fun, especially in a rivalry game.
Well, having gotten to know some of them on both sides of it, Lang Wiseman was a guy that both schools recruited, and back then I got to know Lang a little bit. Got to know Mark. Aaron Green later in the 90s was a guy from this state. There's some funny stories, but those guys, they never could understand. How can you be friends with him?
Yeah.
Who does this to us? It was funny.
We're still friends. We still put up with each other.
Absolutely. Okay, let's do this. Let's go to a break. We'll talk a little bit more with Mark about college basketball, not just the Tennessee Vanderbilt game. But if you want to go ahead and get in on the lines a little earlier than normal, but I want to get some phone calls and some stuff going, questions, comments, whatever, for Mark Griffin, get in if you want at 615-553-0933. Again, 615-553-0933. We'll just kind of play it by ear, see how it all works out. Whoa, what was that?
Teddy.
Can you put Teddy on with us? You can't show us Teddy?
Not yet.
Maybe after the commercial break? Teddy is adorable. This is 9, the Fan. Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
As we step into the new year, there's nothing more important than family and safety. If a car wreck or big truck accident turns your world upside down, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, We're experienced and we're ready to fight for what you deserve. Call us anytime at 615-242-9000. Really wishing you a safe and happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com. Are you concerned about the Medicare Part D changes for 2025? Believe me, you're not alone. You need to contact Pancoast Benefits. They'll make the changes clear and easy to understand. Trust Pancoast to guide you through it all. Their knowledgeable team is here to help you understand the updates and make informed decisions about your Medicare coverage. Don't navigate these changes alone. Call Pancoast Benefits today at 615-292-3400 and choose option 3, or visit pancoastbenefits.com. That's 615-292-3400 and choose option 3.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
We are back as we talk some hoops with former University of Tennessee star Mark Griffin. Billy, am I able to do what I want to do?
Oh, that's neat.
That is Mark's dog. Those of you who are watching the podcast, Teddy is adorable. And that's Teddy. Okay, let me take a phone call real quickly for you. And then, no, we're not taking a phone call. Okay, to heck with it then.
Uh-huh.
Tell me how Ole Miss and Missouri are doing what they're getting done.
Wow. George, I watched both of those games, and I cheered for both of those teams because I tend to cheer for the underdog, especially on the road. What I saw was both teams mirrored their coach as far as, I would say, intensity, but game plan. Obviously, Missouri's coach is a very laid-back coach. Chris Beard is the opposite.
Ooh.
But you saw the defensive intensity, especially for both Missouri and Ole Miss, and really seemed to carry out the scouting plan very effectively and took the respective home teams' home court advantage away. And I think they just both teams, Missouri and Ole Miss, out-hustled both Florida and Alabama. It was amazing. I was really shocked with both, especially Missouri. I don't know enough about Missouri's personnel right now to make many comments because, George, they hardly have any players left from last season that you even recognize. Ole Miss with Matthew Morrell's been there 6 years, it seems like, from Memphis. And, of course, their transfer from Belmont, local Innsworth product, Malik Dia, plays the game of his life. And And Ole Miss is not a big team. It's amazing. They're a better rebounding team with a shorter team this year than they were last year. And they had 6'11", guy 7'2". But Chris Beard's done an amazing job for a second year at Ole Miss. And I know we may be talking about them a little bit more here in a minute. But 2 great wins. But it's a lesson to be learned for all these teams in the SEC is you can't take home field for advantage because, we talked last week the importance of winning in your backyard. And then you see these 2 teams that come in and upset favored teams, significantly favored teams on the road. Is like you better play harder and closer and together as a team, or you're going to get beat. It's going to be interesting to see where these teams fall in as far as ranking come March. We talked about 14-4 with Auburn being I feel is a really good record to win the SEC.
Uh-oh. It sounds like we lost Mark for a second.
I think we did.
Yeah, we'll try to get him back here in a minute. What I want to know, and this just came out today, Lenardi releases his stuff every Tuesday and Friday. And he has, by the way, he's moved Tennessee back into a 1 seed. If you have not seen this stuff, and I realize it's early, but it's interesting discussion points. So Lenardi has Tennessee back as a 1 seed, which I kind of figured he would. He's got Missouri right now as an 8, which I think is a huge surprise. I don't think that Ole Miss is that big a surprise. Mark's back with us. Mark, is Missouri a sustainable?
No, I don't think so. What I saw, I could be wrong. Forgive me, Missouri fans. I would be shocked if they're top 12 when the season's over. But boy, you can really build on that momentum. You went on the road like that, and coach is talking to them in the huddle about another game on the road, and you know what they're going to be hearing. We can do it in Gainesville. We can do it here. In practice, we can do it in Gainesville. We can do it here. You got to believe in each other, believe in my philosophy, keep working. Anything can happen. So he's got them believing. And if you believe, that's half the equation, because a lot of basketball is, believe it or not, they talk about the physicality of the SEC. It's right up here.
Let me go Stormy on line 1. Stormy, I know you're a new caller. I hope you've told 10,000 of your closest friends that our show's out there.
Oh, yes, George, most definitely. The problem was most of them owed me money, and now they won't pay me. But that's irrelevant. I was going to ask Mark a couple of quick questions. One, what did you see this improvement in Kentucky with Mark Pope as the coach? And 2, did you see the fall off even further for Arkansas with Coach Cal?
Wow. That's a great question.
Let's start with Cal, because that fan base isn't prepared for a crater while they're spending that kind of money on him.
Big trouble in Little China, huh? Coach Cal, I'm blown away. But with your question as far as Arkansas, and when you look at the talent level, they always say you got to get to Coach Cal early. They've got at least 3 NBA players on that squad now, if not more, probably 4 or 5, but projected in the NBA draft for 2025. You got 1 first rounder and 2 second rounders as of now. When you've got 3 NBA players, how do you not win in your conference first 4 games, period? I'm blown away.
Is that a locker room issue?
I think it is. Well, I think it's a lot of issues, because we've seen this trend over the years. It was always, we'll get to the tournament. And then recently, in the last several years, for those Kentucky faithful, Kentucky didn't play well under Calipari in the tournament. They were out, last year by Oakland, first round, and haven't advanced in years. And you got all those guys going to the NBA, and Calipari's touting, oh, I got the NBA guys, but why can't you coach them when they're in college if you got great talent? And you're seeing that this season. It's the biggest surprise for me in the SEC right now is the lack of productivity from the Arkansas players on the court. Boogie Flan is a tremendous player, and others. Thero, great athlete, going to be an NBA player. And they just aren't playing well. Now, can they turn that around? They can. You can get on runs. The season's not over for them, but it never should have started the way it did. And looking at Kentucky, Mark Pope is kind of the anti-Calipari. He's one of these really positive, player-focused. It's not about me. You know, he wore the jersey. He won a championship. He's like that guy you want to cheer for. I mean, I by any means, I'm not a Kentucky fan. I am a Mark Pope fan because he has paid the dues. He went to, I believe, George, Utah State Utah Valley.
Yeah.
And then BYU. He worked his way I know he was a grad assistant at Georgia. He played for a while, and he's got his guys playing. When I watched Kentucky the other night, George, I had to pull out their roster on my phone because I didn't know anybody. But these guys are playing for each other. They're hustling. And once again, I can't overemphasize because I really believe that defense wins. But you see these guys playing defense like they are in the intensity. You want to cheer for teams like Kentucky because they play hard, they play together, and they spread it out. It's a fun basketball brand that he's got them playing. And those guys are having fun. They're having fun. And you want to have fun. Yeah. It's difficult to have fun. You have more fun when you win. But when you've got a coach that supports you when you fail and says, keep shooting, I want you to shoot. I want you to shoot. I want you to play hard versus berating you all the time, then you'll go to bat for that guy.
Stormy, anything else on your end? I guess not. So, Mark, let's go back to Ole Miss because I don't think anybody's surprised that Chris Beard is making great things happen. They hired him on the rebound of the unfortunate stuff that ended his career at Texas. They're 15-2. They go to Starkville tomorrow to play Mississippi State, which ought to be
huge game.
Yeah. So talk to me as we put up the graphic on them about why he's been able to turn it this quick.
Well, I think with Coach Beard, his philosophy is he's a defensive coach as well, big-time defensive coach with options as far as freedom on the offensive end that's going to spread the ball around. You don't see 20-point scores. You're not going to see a guy average 20 points a game. Matthew Morrell, like I mentioned earlier, I think this is his 5th year. I don't know what his scoring average is, but I know it's not his career high. They're just I call it spreading the love, spreading the ball, trying to keep a lot of people happy. Brakefield, love him, the transfer from Duke from a few years ago. Just got good individual players that play as a team. And I'm going to say this a lot about different teams, but that's a key because you're getting guys that, especially look at transfers. And we go back to Jason Edwards. It was a star of North Texas, a star. And you come into another program and it's like, well, you can be the leading scorer, but how do you fit in? What's your role? You look at Malik Dia, how he's played the 4 games in the SEC. He's probably averaging 18 points a game. He was averaging 8.7, but he's really turned it on during the SEC play. Why is that? How the switch suddenly turn on for him, and will it be consistent? Well, a lot of that goes back to how these guys practice, because you do play how you practice. And obviously Coach Beard is a great practice facilitator with his staff, and have really surprised a lot of people in the SEC so far. Now, once again, you could come back and say, George, is this sustainable? I don't know, but Ole Miss has not been in this position in a while. I don't know the last time, George, and I know Net's only been out a few years, but this NCAA evaluation tool, Ole Miss has never been this high. And if they can sneak away a victory in Starkville, more people are going to be talking about Ole Miss.
They're going to get in the tournament. There's no doubt about that.
No doubt.
Okay, we're going to go to the break. When we come back, we'll have stat of the day, and then I'm going to want to get the phone lines really hopping for Mark. I want some good college basketball stuff for him, whether it's SEC or otherwise, at 615-553-0933. Again, 615-553-0933. Jump on those phone lines. Billy, how can they text something for Mark?
Chat room is open. We've got a couple already. We want more, though. So YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, however you're watching the show, feel free to chime in. We'd love to hear from you.
Okay, this is 94.9, The Fan.
Where can you see a saber-toothed tiger rappel from the rafters? How about a catfish fly? The biggest stars in Music City. Not to mention hockey's hottest ticket.
The Predators win!
Only in Smashville. See your Nashville Predators all season long at Bridgestone Arena. Single game tickets are on sale now at NashvillePredators.com. Let's go Preds!
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Tracks machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
Client, and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
You wear toe shoes to work out?
I have a pair of those.
Aren't your toes too big for that?
I have a pair of toe shoes that I wear.
That is the single most surprising thing you've ever said on this show.
So I got
wow.
So I got a little home gym set up, and in my home gym, I put on the toe shoes.
I don't believe
what
it.
Size
I don't believe it.
15.
So they're size 15 toe shoes.
Yeah.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
Bowling is generally just fun. Like you're not gonna have a bad time if you decide to go to the bowling alley, whether you're going on a date or whether you're going with a group of folks. You can always go bowl and have a good time.
We need to bring back roller skating.
Oh, roller skating is so
going
fun.
To the roller rink.
Oh, it's so fun.
Unsportsmanlike. Weekday mornings starting at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2. This is Freddie and Harry on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Let me tell you about what it is about the logos. It's the iconism. I'm going to make up a word, iconism.
We please live that. I mean, we're just putting new words in Webster's right now.
Iconism, baby.
Definition?
Iconic as hell.
This is Freddie and Harry.
So, Freddie, I'll ask you, since half of you are the Cowboy fan here.
No, the full is me. I'm a full Cowboys fan of Jets.
No,
fan.
no,
Yeah.
There's no such thing. You cannot be a full Jets fan and a full Cowboys fan.
I
You
am.
have two teams. So 50% of you is a Jets fan. 50% of you is a Cowboys fan.
Shannon, ask the question before I strangle Harry.
Check out more from Freddie and Harry weekdays at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We're talking more SEC hoops with Mark Griffin coming up. But first, stat of the day brought to you by Apple Collision Centers. You can find them in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Give them a call, 615-754-9800, or log on to their website. That's applecollisioncenters.com. All right, we're going NFL. Against the Texans, the Chiefs are looking to advance to their 7th straight conference championship. Who was the last team to beat the Chiefs in a wild card or divisional round?
I think the answer is the New England Patriots. Beat them 27-20 in Foxborough. I am going with that. Show me the Patty Melts.
Believe it or not.
Oh,
wow.
The Titans.
Good Lord.
Good one, George.
That was the game where, really, no kidding.
Chris Mariota
grabbed a deflection of a pass that got tipped that he recaught and rolled into the end zone.
Wow. Passing rush and a receiving touchdown.
Wow. It's going to
George, maybe you didn't remember that because I believe you told me last night 2017 was a big year for your Predators. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, that was the summer. Well, let's try it a different way. That was the late spring, early summer that they made the run all the way to the Stanley Cup final, and that was some of the coolest stuff I have ever experienced in sports.
Mm-hmm.
This city was on fire.
That was awesome.
Okay, we are now officially into the 4 o'clock hour as opposed to unofficially being in it. We're at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. George Plaster, Billy Derrick, joined by former University of Tennessee basketball star Mark Griffin. I know you've got some text questions for him and some questions of your own. However, I am disappointed. The phones have been quiet.
They have.
I want to get a phone call or two for Mark. 615-553-0933. Billy.
Well, more of a comment here, but we're talking about, you mentioned Dane Bradshaw, Mark, and Justin says Dane Bradshaw is the best color guy on TV. Well, I don't know if you're a Vandy or Tennessee fan, Justin, but he'll be on the call tomorrow.
Will he really?
For Tennessee Vandy. Yeah.
Excellent.
I love listening to Dane Bradshaw. He knows
he's really
his stuff, but he's also entertaining. He's got, like Mark said, he's got some jokes to him, which is always good.
He's passionate.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
But Mark, Jerry Palm put out his latest bracketology projections. And he's got 13 SEC teams in the field, which could happen. Again, probably not. He's got Vanderbilt in as one of the 11 seeds.
Lenardi, by the way, has them as the first team out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But what's the likelihood of that? I mean, are you in the mold of they'll probably get 12? Are you more 11? Like what? Obviously, it's got to play out. But what's the ceiling here for the SEC?
I mean, I think they could get as high as a 13. For some reason, 11 sticks in my head. I just think teams are going to beat each other up. Now, the SEC is going to get tons of quad 1 and 2 opportunities for the most part, except right now when they're playing South Carolina. They're the lowest quad team in the SEC. And outside, they're a quad 3 based on where they fall. But this is fluid. So, you know, it depends on how you play, your strength of schedule throughout the season. Numbers change, which I love. 13, but I will say I'm just throwing out 11. Now, who am I excluding? Too early for me to say. I've got to see some of these teams that I'm not very familiar with and get the eyeball test and see how they fare. Oklahoma, is one team that I'm really curious about. Texas, I'm just really misunderstood on how they're going to play. Will they be a team that's on the bubble or not? Those are two that stand out. Mississippi State, you know, we were high on Mississippi State a couple of weeks ago, and then if they lose to Ole Miss tomorrow, are they trending down? Especially lose at home. So it'll be interesting.
Text question from Trevor, who's a Kansas fan. Where does Kansas go from here after their loss to Iowa State? Do they still have a shot to make a run in the tournament, or is this a little bit more of an adjustment rebuilding year for Kansas?
Well, what's amazing about Kansas is they were really big in the transfer portal. They picked up A.J. Storr, Wisconsin, and Ryan Griffin from Alabama. Was a smooth, steady player for Alabama, and neither one has contributed at all significantly throughout the season. It's another team that I'm shocked. Not as shocked as much as I am with Arkansas's play, but when you look outside the SEC, I'm really perplexed to see how Kansas is not faring better than they are right now.
With Tennessee, I like what is their ceiling, and how do you compare them to last year's Tennessee team? Like I've watched some of the highlights, and Akpara I think can be really good, and you look at Igor Milicic as well. If he can knock down threes, I think the potential is there for Tennessee to be better than they were last year, and they may not be playing like it, Mark. But would you agree with that?
I think Milicic has been a pleasant surprise. To me, the most improved player throughout when I saw preseason till now. I knew they had high expectations with anyone coming in. I don't think I can't speak for the staff. He has done more, contributed more than I thought he would do this early in the season. Because he's so versatile. You know, he could step out, shoot a three-pointer. He's been a bear as far as rebounding, steady defender. What the biggest difference that I see, guys, is this is a better defending team from 1 to 5. Akpor's got his limitations, but they knew going in how he was limited offensively. He was going to get a couple of dunks, a couple of two-foot, shots to put in. He's not going to be the best finesse player inside on the offensive end. Defensively, he alters a lot of shots. And I think that overall, I'm going to throw this number. I think Tennessee's 38th in the nation in rebounding right now. And that's vast improvement of what they were last year as a team. Now, the glitzy, with the glitz and the hype, and it was also proven with Dalton Connect. Is that there? I mean, I was so excited to watch him play. The nation was. Do they have that? No. But do they have other guys that can score? And I mentioned Gainey. I've just seen the progress of how he's really matured in the last year. Meshack, as far as his defense. I would like to see a little bit more out of their bench, because you're going to see certain games where even a Zakai Ziegler's not going to play 37 minutes a game, which he seems like he practically is now. How do they fare when Ziegler's not on the court? I really focused in on that the other night against Georgia, and he sat out, I think, 3 minutes, and Tennessee was like +4 or so. So they didn't dip while he was on the bench, which was really a good thing to see. And if Coach Barnes continues to rest him appropriately, which obviously he knows how, and you don't see the score move too much negatively, then Tennessee's going in the right direction. So overall, better, I think, a much better defensive team from 1 to 5. But a less consistent shooting team right now, which is a concern, and especially a backup shooter if Lanier's not on pace, because Ziegler is going to probably shoot 12 to 14 times a game. You're not going to see Ziegler shooting 20 times a game. You're just not. That's not what he's there for.
Billy,
Jimmy,
go to that
speaking of
because I got
Memorial
a funny
Magic,
story on
I'm
this.
old enough to remember Phil Cox blocking Tyrone Beeman.
Okay, Mark, I don't know. You weren't in that game, were you?
No, but I recall this. Bobby Davies brought this up to me like a month ago, George.
So the deal was that Phil Cox was one of the top 5 free throw shooters in America, virtually automatic. So a Tennessee Vanderbilt game, gosh, I want to say, I don't know, 83, 84, 80. I don't remember, honestly, without having a media guide in front of me. Somewhere in the 80s, early 80s, comes down to a block charge call on Tyrone Beeman against Phil Cox. And if the call goes Tennessee's way, they're going to win at Memorial Gym. If it doesn't, Cox is going to shoot a 1-and-1, and he's virtually automatic. Call went Vandy's way, and the official that made the call was Allie Prescott.
Wow.
Okay, so this was back, Mark, in a day and time, and I've never understood why this was the case. But officials, well, let me try it a different way. Coaches were allowed to X out an official and basically say, I don't want this guy working any of our games. And so it got out very quickly that your guy, Don DeVoe, X'd out Allie Prescott. Okay, so the year I was at Memphis State, we were playing in the old Mid-South Coliseum, which is still there. Mid-South Coliseum in Memphis is basically our municipal auditorium plus about 3,000 seats. It's exactly the same kind of structure. Our broadcast booth was in between the lower level and the upper level on the concourse. So one night, Allie Prescott, who I'd gotten to know, was, I guess, a season ticket holder at, hold on, I'm reading something. May have it backwards. Cox, it was a block charge deal where Cox was the offensive player against Tyrone Beeman. Anyway, one night right before Christmas, Allie Prescott comes right by my broadcast position during pregame, at which point I take off my headsets and I said, Don DeVoe wishes you a Merry Christmas. Allie Prescott loved it because it was pretty common knowledge at that point that DeVoe had used the, quote, X out on Allie Prescott. I don't think they allow the coach that leeway anymore. But back then, SEC coaches were allowed to X out one official who they didn't want working their games. There's something you didn't know.
Wow. No, not at all.
Okay. So,
great story.
Mark, here's what you need to be doing tomorrow morning. In between, giving Teddy a pedicure or, a shampoo or whatever. Go ahead and put up Teddy again, Billy. You need to be watching the Alabama-Kentucky game, which is at 11 o'clock in the morning. Kentucky is an early 2.5-point favorite. Do they win that game?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. I think Kentucky does beat Alabama. I think, obviously, home crowd advantage. I think the way they're playing together, the Robinson guard is playing fantastic.
He's really good.
Really good. Loves the way he shoots the ball, the freedom. I just feel Kentucky right now. Alabama, you can look and say, well, Alabama's going to be more motivated with the loss. That may be the case. It may not be the case. I just think going into Rupp's going to be very difficult for Alabama. I think Alabama will do the best job they can to contain Sears, and it's hard to contain a player such as Sears. I think Kentucky has enough athletes to deny him that drive to the basket. It's going to cause a lot of problems, and I just think it starts and ends with Sears with Alabama. There's Teddy. So I just feel that Alabama is going to get that is going to go in with a loss at Rupp.
Does Teddy know he's on camera?
Well, we're trying to get him to figure it out. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Listen, thank you as always. Thanks to Teddy for the background noise a couple of times. I'll talk to you here soon.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mark.
Mark Griffin joining us on the show. We'll go to the break and then a few 100,000 thoughts about the Buffalo-Baltimore game and what you're going to hear Monday, depending on which team wins and which team loses. This is 94.9, The Fan.
New year, new priorities. Family and safety come first. If a car or truck accident disrupts your life, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, experienced, and ready to fight for you. Call 615-242-9000. Happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun. Here's Officer Garen Hoskins for the Metro Nashville Police Department.
The Metro Nashville Police Department is on the forefront of policing in this century, and I'm glad I'm a part of it. I'm glad I get to find other good officers, other future good officers. And if you're watching today, or you yourself or someone you happen to know is interested, join MNPD.com. Feel free to reach out to us because we need good officers, and it's a great city to work for.
Are you concerned about the Medicare Part D changes for 2025? Believe me, you're not alone. You need to contact Pancoast Benefits. They'll make the changes clear and easy to understand. Trust Pancoast to guide you through it all. Their knowledgeable team is here to help you understand the updates and make informed decisions about your Medicare coverage. Don't navigate these changes alone. Call Pancoast Benefits today at 615-292-3400 and choose option 3, or visit pancoastbenefits.com. That's 615-292-3400 and choose option 3. Coverage. Don't navigate these changes alone. Call Pancoast Benefits today at 615-292-3400 and choose option 3, or visit pancoastbenefits.com. That's 615-292-3400 and choose option 3.
Here's Officer Garen Hoskins for the Metro Nashville Police Department.
The Metro Nashville Police Department is on the forefront of policing in this century, and I'm glad I'm a part of it. I'm glad I get to find other good officers, other future good officers. And if you're watching today, or you yourself or someone you happen to know is interested, join MNPD.com. Feel free to reach out to us because we need good officers, and it's a great city to work for.
One game on the schedule this week for Middle Tennessee Blue Raider basketball. It's Saturday. That's right. The Western Kentucky Hilltoppers in the Glass House this Saturday, 6 o'clock. We'll kick it off at 5:30 with the pregame show.
93.3 FM. Totally hits. Totally Nashville.
the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Hey, Billy, help me with this as we welcome all of you back. Quad 1, is that simply teams 1 through 50?
Yes.
And then 51 through 100 are quad 2?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. The net rankings.
So obviously, if you play Tennessee, that's a quad 1 opponent. Is Vandy a quad 1 opponent at this point?
Yes.
It's been a long time since they've been able to say that.
Yeah, they're 42. I think I want to say in the net. So yeah, but
And Lenardi in his deal today has them as the first team out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's get to the football for a second. So I think all of us believe that the late game Sunday is going to be an instant classic. I don't see any way it can help but be. Baltimore at Buffalo. And think about this for a second. Whichever team loses in that game, you are going to hear some stuff on Monday about them that's not very positive. And I think in some cases, that is really not very fair. For instance, think back to a year ago when Buffalo could not win at home against Kansas City in this round. Lost 30-27 en route to the Chiefs winning their second straight Super Bowl. And there was a lot of this, you just can't win with Josh Allen. And I think that's a bunch of bull. I think Josh Allen is the reason they're even there to talk about it.
You've got to admit, though, he makes some boneheaded plays sometimes in big moments.
He does. But you want his aggressiveness. Let's face it, Billy. This game coming up is going to feel a little bit like an arena game. Anybody gets a stop, it's like goal, right?
Yep.
Or at least that's what we think. Well, it's his wheels that allow you the ability to convert and keep drives going. When the play breaks down, when a receiver doesn't get open, it's Josh Allen's feet as much as it is that cannon that keeps drives going for Buffalo. And I get where you're going. There's a valuable mix that I think he has achieved this year of toning down some of the reckless abandon.
You look at in the past, he's been reckless.
Yes.
He's made some throws where you go, what in the world are you doing? Rolling out and then heaving it across his body in the middle of the field. He hasn't done as much of that this year.
Isn't there a reason, though, why both Buffalo and Baltimore in this era have not cracked a visit to the Super Bowl? It's because of Mahomes.
Yep.
Mahomes never makes any mistakes. He never gets rattled. It's unbelievable because my gut feeling is that they're not that good right now and that he is masking, in particular on the offensive side. I think Mahomes is masking all kinds of deficiencies. They have become a dink and dunk kind of deal, and he's the only guy. Now, I think they're going to win tomorrow, but he's the only guy that could lead them where they hope they could go right now.
Yeah. And, you also have Travis Kelce. You've got Andy Reid still there. And it really doesn't matter what receivers they have. Worthy has been huge for them as well. They just plug and play. It's like Brady and Belichick.
So go back on Josh Allen. Now, if he has 3 interceptions in the game on Sunday, okay, so be it. He's gonna catch some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. But I think he will catch it just simply if they lose. And I think that is so unfair because I'm convinced that the only reason Buffalo is around, when I look at them defensively, they're okay, but they're not the monsters of the Midway. I don't think they scare anybody, particularly on defense. I think it's more Josh Allen's brilliance that has them where they need to be than anything else.
Who scares you on the Bills other than Josh Allen? I know James Cook has been really good this year. Ray Davis could be a guy to watch as well. He's starting to play a little bit more, but I don't see a receiver on that team that really scares you. I know Dalton Kincaid.
I'll go. Hold on. First of all, I'll go with really underrated Shakir. Shakir, now that they've gotten Stephon Diggs out of there, Shakir has become a go-to guy. But you hit the nail on the head. They've got 2 tight ends that are really good. Dawson Knox from here and Kincaid. And you watch how much Josh Allen uses them, which again leads me to why do the Titans never use their tight ends? Why are their tight ends in the witness protection program? I don't get it. Because if you've got a couple of tight ends that you can get out there, and by the way, the Chiefs do too, in Kelsey and Noah Gray.
Yeah. And
to me, that's where he makes it happen.
I wonder if Derrick Henry, if he gets going and Lamar Jackson plays the way he can, and you have a healthy Zay Flowers and Andrews and Likely get going, can the Ravens offense just be too much? I wonder. And do they put pressure on Josh Allen to do too much to where he feels like he's got to do a lot of it? I do. The Bills are better, though. Josh Allen has played better this year. But this is your chance. If you're the Bills, you've got to win tomorrow.
But then there's Baltimore that has the exact same feeling when they meet at 5:30 on Sunday because Lamar Jackson, yes, he is a 2-time MVP, but you hear a lot more of, yeah, but he hadn't gotten it done in the playoffs. Remember a year ago, the AFC title game against the Chiefs where they got nothing done on offense?
Yep.
That's what it is people are all over him about. I don't think it's totally fair. And look, I don't know where you would vote. Personally, I'm voting Josh Allen as AFC most valuable player over Lamar by about that much because I think they've both been brilliant.
Yeah.
But if they lose, if this doesn't go well, and in particular, if Lamar is not lights out the way he has been, that's going to be the storyline on Monday.
Yep.
Why doesn't he deliver the goods?
It's the battle of the quarterbacks that can't get it done when it's mattered in the playoffs. I'm glad they're playing. I'm glad they're playing in this round. We can kind of put to bed, at least for a little bit, one of these quarterbacks. You know,
I think it's a huge advantage for KC.
Yep.
That they don't have to play 2 Godzillas.
Mm-hmm.
They'll either get Buffalo or Baltimore if they win. And look, I'm assuming something that's unfair. I'm basically saying, look, until Houston beats them, and I'm not believing Houston wins. I need to see it to believe it, and maybe they do. Maybe their pass rush is that good, and they cause Mahomes issues we never dreamed. But the Houston I saw in the regular season was a product of a crappy division.
Well, last week they dominated the Chargers, and credit to them, but they're not beating the Chiefs tomorrow.
I also don't think C.J. Stroud's been as good as he was a year ago.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be something though if they pull it off tomorrow?
Ooh, that city will be on fire.
But wouldn't this be the year the Chiefs don't get to the Super Bowl? You know, they're banged up. Mahomes has even been banged up a little bit. They don't have they got Worthy, but what receiver on the Chiefs do you look at and go, oh wow, I know they still have Kelsey, but this to me would be the year the Chiefs don't make the Super Bowl, if any.
One of the things that Pat Sperduto told me several weeks ago, because I asked him all this stuff, I said, Pat, I'm not convinced y'all are that good. I think you're a product of a quarterback who is never rattled. Nothing phases him. I look around at their receiving core. They don't have the deep threat, unless Worthy gets behind a secondary. To me, there's certain pieces of this, Billy, that he is elevated past what they really are. You buy that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the plays he makes, he'll take the snap and pressure comes immediately, evades the pressure, rolls right, steps up, and finds no-name receiver in the middle of the field. You don't even know who he is a lot of times. Like, who's that guy? Well, it's about Mahomes getting him the ball. That's.
I'm just amazed.
Yeah.
So why don't we do this? Simply because I know what's coming here in a few minutes. Let's go ahead and do plaster bets of the day, and you're going to see how conflicted that I really am this weekend.
All right, bet of the day brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. You can find them at bartdurham.com. Take a look at what happened last night. Northwestern.
Yeah. Overtime.
I was going to say that went into overtime. I know.
Overtime.
Jacoby Gillespie hit the shot to tie it, to take it to overtime, I think.
For Maryland.
Yeah.
And then Northwestern won it. That's a big win for them.
Big.
So I'm going to tell all of you that, look, I am really conflicted on where this stuff is going this weekend, and you're going to see what I mean by that. Let's start with the first thing that you put up there. This is a two-team teaser, and for those of you who are not all that aware of what a two-team teaser is, here it is. You basically have to win both sides of the bet. You got to win Kansas City -3, Buffalo +7. A two-team teaser, since you have to win 2, allows you to take 6 points and play it however you want. I don't believe that Buffalo gets beat at home by double digits. I'm not convinced that Kansas City gets beat at home by Houston. And so that's where I've gone with that bet. But here's the thing. If you look at the Chiefs this year, rarely have they covered.
Yeah.
Normally they're up there in the 8 to 12 point favorite range, and they just simply haven't been good enough. No. And it's only been because of Mahomes that they've got this gaudy record. Do I think they're all that gaudy? No, I don't. But I think this quarterback has elevated them way past what they really are. On the second part of it, I don't know if Buffalo wins, but I feel very cocky that they're not going to get beaten double digits. So I'm taking Buffalo +7.
Okay.
Here's the second one. I think it's Buffalo's time. You could say, well, it's also Baltimore's time. What's the difference? The only difference I can come up with is Buffalo is at home. Couple of things about that game. Number one, they're calling for single-digit temperatures, and they're calling for some snow. And Buffalo, to me, is better equipped to handle that than Baltimore. They play in it every week. Now, Baltimore, not exactly, the South, but they don't face what Buffalo faces. And so under the, how am I trying to spin this? The only spin I can give you is Buffalo's at home, and the weather conditions have Buffalo written all over them. You like that?
I like it.
Now, how conflicted am I? Look at this. This is a two-team teaser. Billy, turn your mic off, if you will. Okay. There is a part of me in the middle two games that really doesn't know what to think. I will admit I'm starting to buy into the Rams. The Rams are really good, but they're going into a place that's also pretty good, Philly. Can they play that game within 12? I'm saying they can, and I'm saying they will, and I'm saying it on the strength of two words, Matthew Stafford. I think the guy's brilliant. And I think he's got two great receivers around him, Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. And then you get the tight end into this, and he's really got a tough passing game for defenses. Philly's going to be tested. Philly wins this thing in a rout. I'll be the first to say I was dead wrong, but I don't think so. I'm not all that sold on Philly, and what I saw a week ago, it didn't sell me. And then you got Washington, and I'm saying tease them up to plus 15. Jaden Daniels, this is where I'm going with this. This kid is Mahomes as a youngster. Nothing rattles him. I don't get it. How in the world can this kid only be a rookie? He never does anything wrong. Is he going to in Detroit? Man, I know they're going to test him. They're going to bring the kitchen sink early to see if they can rattle him. But you know what, Billy? This guy's now gone through a season. This is not a fluke.
No, and I know he's not the biggest guy, but he also does a good job of avoiding those injuries, those huge hits because of how quick he is.
Do you think either the Rams or the Commanders get routed?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think
you think my teaser is right?
I think it is. I mean, 15, that's a lot of points.
It's a lot of points.
And I mean,
or as a friend of mine says, it's a lot of lumber.
Yeah, and so is 12. Like I could see the Rams backdoor covering late there against the Eagles. But yeah, that's a lot of points. That's big spreads.
That's what I've got.
I like it.
So I got one last question. When last we talked to Garen Hoskins, did he say he was going to Columbus, Ohio?
No, I think he said he was staying at home, but he did say he mentioned the.
I know what he mentioned. Believe me, I know the other part.
He mentioned the Nutcracker, so I don't think he.
Right, we're going to have some fun.
I don't think he cracked the nut.
No, probably not. But we got to be very careful because he's got equipment, Billy, that could eliminate us if we go too far.
Yes, that's his trump card.
He will join us after the break. Stick around. This is 94.9 The Fan.
As we step into the new year, there's nothing more important than family and safety. If a car wreck or big truck accident turns your world upside down, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, we're experienced, and we're ready to fight for what you deserve. Call us anytime at 615-242-9000. Really wishing you a safe and happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonleyTimmons.com.
You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
Want to define teams by singular performances.
Sports. Did he not go back into the game after that interception?
Let's get this turned around. And we're all saying, no, they don't.
Here.
You thought you were on your way.
Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We're back. If you're watching the podcast version of this, this is Metro Nashville Police Officer Garen Hoskins. He is certainly no stranger to our show, but the last time you were on here, you were on a rocky top high, and I think it was the day before you all went up to Columbus to play Ohio State.
It was, George, and I had a lot of energy going into that game. I think our fellas did, but, you know, we just did not play like I thought we would, and, you know, in my personal opinion, I think we got beat by the soon-to-be national champions. I got to give it to Ohio State. They're playing really tough. They're playing really good defense, and I just got to say it. I mean, I think they're going to win it this year.
Billy, why is it that everybody sees it the way I do?
It's just no one gives Notre Dame the amount of respect they deserve.
I can see that. I
mean, I understand people saying Ohio State's been rumbling through everybody. But, don't forget about Notre Dame either.
Yeah, whatever.
The defensive end, the Sawyers is his last name?
Jack Sawyer.
Jack Sawyers. Man, that guy's playing with the roof
he
off.
Scares me.
First of all, Billy's very bitter because he doesn't think I've given them their just due. Go on with that thought.
The way you talk about Notre Dame, you're acting like there's some children of the poor coming in here against Ohio State.
No, I didn't say that. What I am saying is that you're not going to win. Ohio State's on a roll.
They are, but I think Notre Dame covers like 8.5. That's over a touchdown, if anything.
Yeah, that's a lot of points. I mean, what's the money line on that? Do we know where? Or how much the public's betting on it?
Well,
he'll have the answer shortly.
I mean, if you bet Notre Dame money line, you bet 100. What? You getting 160 back, 180. I think something maybe
plus
around
180
there.
Plus 200, something like that.
I bet it's more than
or 200 maybe. I'm not sure.
You know how to look it up.
Yeah,
look
2-1 odds probably sound right.
Yeah.
So on Saturday night, you didn't go to Columbus.
I was this close, but I tell you,
what stopped you?
The cold, and I'm 38 years old and I got a wife and 3 kids at home. And I'm going to tell you, George, I thought long and hard about it. And I said, you know what? I think I'm just going to stay here and watch it in the living room. And I'm glad I did. Otherwise, I would have been cold and unhappy.
When did you say to yourself, oh, crap, this isn't going to happen?
I'll be honest, probably right around halftime, I really started having a lot of doubt. I mean, Ohio State had hit a few over the top for touchdowns. I don't remember what the score was at halftime.
Well, it was 21-10, and Tennessee had just scored.
Yes, and I had slight hope, but I also, just being a realistic kind of person, also being a fan, wanting to see my team come back. But it just seemed like after those first 6 minutes of the third quarter, I thought, this is going to run away.
Karen, I felt sorry. Here was a Tennessee fan base that was amazing. I mean, they apparently showed up in numbers like 30 to 40,000 in a stadium that's never seen anything like that. I happen to think it pissed off the Ohio State players when they saw it, but that's neither here nor there. But number one, they're dealing with brutal cold that they're not really used to in the South.
True.
And then they got to turn around either at the end of the game or the next morning and drive 5.5 hours home. That had to kind of stink.
Yeah. I'm sure it was a tough trip for the boys. But I tell you what, I liked how Heupel is running the team. I haven't felt this good about Tennessee football in a long time. And it seems like slowly, especially ever since last year when the men's baseball team won the national championship, and you see how Tennessee basketball is playing right now, it just seems like Tennessee sports are really coming back, back kind of to the golden age, back when it was early 2000s and it was like Notre Dame and Tennessee playing together and they were always top 10 matchups. I mean, it kind of seems that way.
Let's get to your business for a minute.
Sure.
I let you off easy, didn't I?
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Pretty easy.
But that's okay. I can take it. I'm in this job for a reason.
Billy, what we should have done was gotten the tape of what he said that
would have
day
been good.
and then ran
Been good.
That would have been very special.
Real quick on that note, my wife and I were watching, and she's a big Texas fan. So, anyways, you can hook them whatever you want. But we always go back and forth of who the real UT is. Now that she's in the SEC and everything. So I wouldn't necessarily root against Texas, but I would, if there was a team that made a play in the playoffs, I'd be like, oh, yes, like kind of underneath, so she wouldn't see. Well, as soon as Tennessee lost, she really let me have it. And I've had the same jersey ever since I was 14 years old. I said I would not buy another jersey until Tennessee won a national championship. And I'll tell you what, every year I always hang up my jersey in the closet and I play taps as I do it. And it's like laying to rest till next year. And unfortunately, I did that in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Didn't feel good.
It feels better to at least get there than to not get there.
Yeah. One thing that I thought was weird, and I'm wondering if the NCAA is or whatever is going to have to happen, is I thought it was kind of odd that, technically Tennessee didn't have a bowl game. They lost in the first round, and, they were in, what happened to, I just don't feel like if you make the playoffs, you should be punished if you lose. If you've made the playoffs, but then you lose the first round, I mean, isn't that like a large revenue generator for bowl games?
Well, okay. I guess what you're saying is that then they would go to the Citrus Bowl.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. So
I don't think the players would want it.
Yeah, I get it.
It's weird. It's brand new,
Yeah, it just
first time you almost feels like another regular season game. You're on campus, and like Indiana probably felt the same way. It's like our season's over on the 21st,
like that.
Yeah, before Christmas.
Yeah, it just didn't seem like there was a bowl game or anything, and it was a little weird. Whereas years before, when you had the 4-team playoff, those were bowl games,
right?
And then now it's if you lose in the first round, it's kind of you're in between the bowl games and the regular season. And if you lose that round, then you technically don't get a bowl game, but you made the playoffs.
and most college fans love, like, after Christmas, you've got a game, you've got one more game to look forward to, but Tennessee didn't have that. That's definitely weird.
Here's what's going to be interesting to see. So now, by Monday night at whenever 11 o'clock, we'll have completed the first year of a 12-team playoff. And I think as they try to go back and say, okay, how can we make this better? I think there's going to be a debate about whether the home campuses are the right move.
Mm-hmm.
In two of the cases, they were huge weather games where up at Penn State and at Notre Dame, and for that matter, in Columbus, brutal weather. Do they want to get away from that and designate, for instance, Nashville as an opening round, San Antonio as an opening round, San Francisco is, you get where I'm going.
Yeah.
I think that's the first debate they've got.
Yeah.
Is this on-campus thing the right thing? Because I would contend that when it started, the electricity, excuse me.
We got him back?
Yeah, sorry about that. At least I hope so. The electricity around the Notre Dame, Indiana game was really cool on Friday night. You could feel it.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the first thing they got to decide. And to me, the second one is, do they reseed after the first round? Because it makes no sense for Oregon, ranked number 1 in the country and undefeated, to have a way tougher game than Penn State, who they had just beaten a week and a half earlier.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that makes no sense.
Yeah, it's gonna come down to a bunch of smart people making some big decisions, but it's the first year. We're gonna have some rough edges, and it'll get better. I do like the fact that at least we have more than 4 teams, so I enjoyed it. But there are definitely things that could be better.
Okay, in the middle of all this playoff stuff, our city got hit with a snowstorm that, to the credit of the weather people, they told us 3 days ahead of time it was coming.
Yeah, they were right.
And the city is prepared with the salt and all that kind of stuff. But when our city gets hit with a snowstorm, it's not like Buffalo. They're used to it. They know what they're doing. What's it like in the police world?
Well, when you're on the interstate responding to a wreck because people are trying to drive the same amount of miles an hour that they would in a dry summer day, and they're trying to do that with snow and ice on the ground, we will respond along with TDOT. But it gets a little hairy. As an officer, I have been out several times on the interstate, and we do have the move over law. If there is an emergency vehicle on the side of the road, it is Tennessee state law that you have to move over. If you cannot move over, you are supposed to slow down. So, give you an example, if there's a large semi right next to you and you can't move over, you are supposed to slow down and pass at a safe speed, which would be well below the speed limit. But working in snow and ice, you're out there, we respond. If someone needs help, we're going. But absolutely, I've been out there before and been dodging some spinning cars on ice.
How long have we had the move over rule?
It's been a few years. It's I would say probably 4 to 5 years. And the reason being is a majority of officers in the entire country, that is one way that we lose officers to fatalities is getting hit by vehicles and less by gunfire.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. So it's not only to protect officers and first responders as firemen and TDOT workers, but it's also there to protect TDOT workers that are in construction zones and stuff. In Nashville, and they will put, I don't know if you ever noticed this, but down near Broadway and 40, that large median, they put cones out at a certain, and that represents every TDOT worker or first responder in the state of Tennessee that's lost their lives to traffic fatalities.
I had no idea.
Yep. So next time you see it, understand, hey,
Yeah.
we need to, as a society and in the state of Tennessee, you need to know, you need to move over if there's an emergency vehicle. And it's just common courtesy. If someone's changing a tire on the side of the road, it's common courtesy. If you were down there changing the tire, you would want someone to move over and not be zipping right by you and scaring you to death.
Back when Garen and I first put this together, we decided that rather than just run the same 30-second commercial over and over about recruitment into the Metro Nashville Police Department, that it might be more effective for you to simply come on every once in a while and yuck it up with us.
Absolutely. I mean, this is who we are. This is, as police officers, I'll give you a prime example. And this is why I do this job and why I would encourage anyone watching or anyone listening or know of someone, go to joinmnpd.com. And that, again, that's joinmnpd.com. We have plenty of open positions. We're hiring out the wazoo. But with that being said, the things I love about being an officer is you get to experience things. You get to do things that can make a difference. And for instance, I work at Christ Presbyterian Academy as overtime, working their football games or basketball games. Well, I've made an impact there and made a relationship with a lot of the students body there and a lot of the teachers and staff, and just been a wonderful person. Well, during the halftime of the boys varsity basketball game, students come down and they play a game of gotcha, a little basketball game where they try to get each other out. And my nickname is Squirrel, and everyone knows me as Squirrel because it's easy to remember. But I'll tell you, like they kept asking me, Officer Squirrel, come play. And I was like, well, I don't know. So I talked to Ingle Martin, who you know well.
I know him well.
And I said, Ingle, a lot of the student bodies wanted me to get out here and play and play this game at halftime with him. What do you think? And he's like, do it. Man, I tell you what, I got out there the very first time and I was burying some threes. The crowd was going crazy. But, I mean, that's the thing. People love when police officers
show a human side.
And the thing is we are all human behind the badge. We are all human. I have a family with kids and a home and everything. I'm when I take the uniform off, I'm a family man. But I tell you, I love this job. I've been doing it for 10 years. There's a lot of opportunity in the department, not only for advancement, but also doing specialized units. And I'm going to tell you, I love doing it. And I love coming on your show and mucking it up and talking sports and all that.
If a person's out there, because part of your job is in Chief Drake's recruitment process,
Correct.
You're a recruiter.
Correct.
If somebody says, I want to find out more, how do they do it?
Well, what they can do is they can directly contact me through the website. It's joinmnpd.com. You can go on there. All the information is on our website. It's from salary to benefits to jobs to the upcoming training academies. Everything's on there. Also, under the recruitment team tab, you can click on that tab and it'll bring up all of our recruiters. I'm the only bald white guy on there, so I'm very, very easy to find. I don't have hair like you, George.
Did he really say that?
Yes. But what I'm saying is, that's how I describe it. Now, I always get a laugh out of it.
The bald white guy.
But you know what? I guarantee you won't forget it. But you can go down there, click on Garen Hoskins, click on my profile. It's got my email address, my home or my cell phone number on there. Give me a call, send me an email, and I can guide you and inform you on all the opportunities we have here at the Metro Nashville Police Department. And if you decide it's for you or know someone that would really like that information, send them my way, and I'll take them from there.
We're out of here. Have a good weekend.
You too, George. You too, Billy.
See you, Garen.
So he is the bald white guy. I love it. We're out of here. Hope all of you enjoy your football and your basketball this weekend. We'll be back for Reaction Monday on Monday at 3 p.m. This is 94.9 The Fan.